die. We will see you in court. We'll never let you go. You are killing our innocent people. We'll never give up, guys.
Stop bombing our people. Stop bombing our people. Stop the genocide on Tigray.
Stop the genocide on Tigray.
Stop the genocide on Tigray. Stop killing civilians in Tigray. Stop killing our mothers.
Stop killing our mothers.
Stop killing our fathers.
Stop killing our fathers.
Stop killing our brothers.
Stop killing our brothers.
Stop killing our sisters.
Stop killing our sisters.
Stop killing our children.
Stop killing our children.
Stop bombing in Tigray.
Stop bombing in Tigray.
Stop bombing in Tigray.
Stop bombing in Tigray.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Turkey.
Turkey.
You got blood on your hand.
Got blood on your heart.
Turkey.
Turkey.
You got blood on your hand.
Got blood on your heart.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Stop supporting Ethiopian government.
Stop supporting Ethiopian government.
Abiy Ahmed is a criminal.
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 Abiy Ahmed to the ICC.
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 Stop supporting a genocide.
Stop supporting the genocide.
Stop supporting genocide. Stop supporting genocide.
Stop supporting genocide.
Stop selling drones. Stop selling drones. Stop killing our people by drones. Stop killing our people using our drones. Stop killing our people. Stop killing our people.
Stop killing our people.
Stop eating our drones.
Stop killing our
Stop eating drones.
Stop using guns.
Stop eating drones.
Stop using guns.
Stop eating drones.
Stop using guns.
Stop selling drones to Ethiopian government.
Stop selling guns to Ethiopian
Stop killing our mothers.
Stop killing our mothers.
Stop killing our mothers.
Stop killing our mothers.
Stop killing our fathers.
Stop killing our fathers.
Our people are dying.
Our people are dying.
Our people are dying
Our people are dying.
because of your drones.
Because of your guns.
Stop selling your drones.
Stop selling guns.
Abiy Ahmed is a dictator.
Abiy Ahmed is a dictator.
Abiy Ahmed is a killer.
Abiy Ahmed is a killer.
Abiy Ahmed to the ICC.
Abiy Ahmed to the ICC.
Stop supporting Abiy Ahmed.
Stop supporting Abiy Ahmed.
Stop supporting Ethiopian government.
وسبحت قيا وسمسرة علم جناهتنا جريا أيضاً 33 55 جنا يونايتد نيشن كفوا بلهنا نقربنا we stand for our right أجهم قرية على معلتي thank you بنو خزي حنتي يان حفتنا دنا لما أنتي مسيت كتحلل سلامة كل جزء يان السورس متكلم we have to support okay they are our future of Tigray thank you
Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to the UK calls for seizing drone and other military support to the genocidal regime of Abiy Ahmed.
Where? Because we can stand it.
Through dominantly an Orthodox Christian land today, Tigray, the northern region of Ethiopia and the foundation of all its ancient history, culture and language, received Christianity and Islam for the first time in Ethiopian history. Its people had never had a history of significant destructive conflict among themselves, especially when it comes to religious or identity issues. The Honourable Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to the UK called for seizing drone and other military support to the genocidal regime of Abiy Ahmed's Prosperity Party of Ethiopia. Through dominantly an Orthodox Christian land today, Tigray, the northern region of Ethiopia and the foundation of all its ancient history, culture, language, received Christianity and Islam for the first time in Ethiopian history. Its people never had a history of significant destructive conflicts among themselves, especially when it comes to religious or identity issues. However, today, for the first time in its history, Tigray is facing a genocidal war and famine imposed on it by Abiy Ahmed Ali's regime, which is ruling Ethiopia since April 2018. Though Abiy Ahmed Ali, current Prime Minister of Ethiopia, was given the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize for bringing peace between Ethiopia and Eritrea, there has not been a single parliament or public approved peace agreements apart from 2 leaders shot in between the 2 capitals most secretly, and no borders officially demarcated and opened in the last 3 years except for a few months. It is now over 13 months since the neo-fascist genocidal regime of Abiy Ahmed Ali's Prosperity Party waged a full-fledged war on the people of the Tigray region with the support of Eritrean armies, Amhara region forces, and Ethiopian ground and air forces, including drones supplied by Turkey, United Arab Emirates, and China. The dispute between Tigray region and Prosperity Party did not begin with the Tigray regional government, led by TPLF, Tigray People's Liberation Front, attacking the northern command of the Ethiopian army, as Prosperity Party falsely alleges. It began with Abiy Ahmed's regime and its collaborators, Amhara region officials, blocking a major highway to Tigray for 3 years since mid-2018, with the objective of weakening and pitting the people of Tigray in famine-like conditions. A turning point was also Tigray regional government objecting the unconstitutional cancellation of the 29th of August 2020 general and regional elections under the pretext of COVID and its general to conduct local elections in Tigray per constitutional timeline. In accordance with the stipulated constitutional prerogatives which recognise sovereignty of member regions, Tigray regional government conducted the local elections in September 2020. Abiy Ahmed Ali's regime then retaliated by cutting federal budget subsidy to Tigray, by encircling Tigray with increasing army commands inside and around Tigray from 1 to 3, namely Northern Command, Northern Western Command, and Central Command, and by opening a war on Tigray. Following this, the elected Tigray regional government communicated to concerned international community not only that Abiy Ahmed Ali's Prosperity Party arrested many Tigrayans, Ethiopian opposition figures cancelled the 29 August 2020 elections under the pretext of COVID. Also, an imminent danger of war was looming these following. In a run-up to the conflict, a large number of Ethiopian military elite units slowly trickled into Eritrea as part of a security pact that was made an ad hoc base known as Gergera in the outskirts of Asmara, Eritrea, between Abiy Ahmed Ali and Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki. These units were expected to be the hammer and the northern command to the anvil to invade Tigray and crush Tigray regional government. Tigray regional government preempted regime and conducted an anticipatory defense on the 3rd of November 2020 by putting together members of the Northern Command under control, taking their arms and finally releasing them together with their 1,000 rank and file commanders. Misrepresenting of this fact, Abiy Ahmed Ali's regime immediately launched a genocidal war on the people of Tigray on the 4th of November 2020 under the pretext of law enforcement. As a result, 3 collaborating actors invaded the autonomous regional state of Tigray in full force. Ethiopian government forces deployed all infantry and mechanized in military divisions, including the Air Force and United Arab Emirates drones stationed in Assab, Eritrea, plus militia and special forces of all Ethiopian regional governments. Eritrean government forces deployed most of their infantry and mechanized military divisions along with aerial bombardments and committed genocide and looting of property in many towns. The Amara regional government deployed all their militia and special forces to west and south of Tigray, committed genocide on tens of thousands and evicted 1.2 million of Tigrayans from their lands and home in western Tigray with the ambition of land grabbing. The neo-fascist regime in Ethiopia opened a genocidal war on Tigray early November 2020, while the world's attention shifted to the US elections and was preparing for Christmas and New Year by disconnecting itself from other global issues. The suffering of the people of Tigray continued to this time, while the world is now again preparing for another Christmas and New Year celebration. With an effort to break the blockade of food aid and basic services through Tigray's Region Defense Forces, TDF, moved to other parts of Ethiopia, namely parts of Amara and Afar regions, and were only 190 kilometers far from the capital Addis Ababa. Tigray regional government withdrew and pulled back TDF to Tigray borders from early December 2021, following calls by the international community in order to give peace and reconciliation an opportunity. This was ascertained by the letter Dr. Debretsion Gebremichael, President of the Tigray Regional Government, wrote on 19th of December 2021 to the UN Secretary General. Despite this, the genocidal regime of Abiy Ahmed Ali and its partners in crime not only continued with their war and aggression by crossing the borders of Tigray, but they are also assaulting civilians with drones, fighter jets, and heavy weapons indiscriminately. The war against the people of Tigray and their legitimately elected local government has and is being waged. 1. By suffocating the people under an information blackout so that the rest of the world does not know the extent of the genocidal war on civilians, Tigrayans, their displacement and property destruction. All roads, all transportations, fuel, telephone, telecommunication services, etc. are purposely blocked, especially since Tigray TDF recaptured most of Tigray on June 2021 by TDF. 2. By blocking life-saving food aid and basic services, such as drinking water, electricity, banking, etc., and starving Tigray's population of 7 million, of which 2 million are displaced and 1 million are in famine conditions, dying, especially kids, pregnant women, and the elderly every day. 3. By subjecting the people of Tigray to massacre, torture, rape, looting of their properties, and all forms of human rights abuses. 4. By mass arresting around 150,000 innocent civilian Tigrayans in Addis Ababa and elsewhere in Ethiopia and putting them into Nazi-style concentration camps. Of these, more than 20,000 were members of the ex-Ethiopian National Defense Forces, federal police, security forces, politicians who have nothing to do with this current war and who are serving their country in different capacities. 5. By bombing innocent civilians in Tigray towns day in, day out with drones, fighter jets and heavy weapons and causing deaths and casualties in hundreds of marketplaces, streets, churches and homes since June 2021, the day TDF captured most of Tigray. 6. By annexing around 35 to 40% of Tigray's historical landmass and surrendering it to invade Amara region corrupt authorities and billionaires who have massacred Tigrayans in tens of thousands, evicted 1.2 million from their lands and homes in western Tigray alone, and settling new people from Amara region to take over their land and properties. Of these, 70,000 genocide survivors of Maikadra and Humara towns fled to Sudan refugee camps in November and December 2020. It is important to note here that the people of West and South Tigray speak Tigrinya and were also part of Tigray, except for 40 years when they were moved to ex-Begmidir, administrative provinces for convenience rather than for historical or identity reasons. In addition, ex-Bedmir and Wello provinces were not entirely Mara speakers but inhabited by people of various identifications. What we ask? The international community, including the EU, USA and UNSC, have repeatedly condemned the fascistic acts of the Prosperity Party of Ethiopia on its own people. The EU and USA have partially curtailed financial aid and special trading agreements. But without coordinated and tougher sanctions, the EU, USA, and UNSC efforts cannot bear fruit. We understand that your government is currently supplying military drones and equipment that support the genocidal actions of the Prosperity Party of Ethiopia. As you are a member of the international community and one of the governments who signed the UN 2005 World Summit normative document of responsibility to protect R2P, which addresses concerns to prevent genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity, we citizens and residents of the UK with Tigrayan and Ethiopian origin and Friends of Tigray request that you observe the underlying premise of the R2P, that sovereignty does not just entail maps, but protection of populations from mass atrocity crimes and human rights violations on the basis of international law and with timely and decisive collective response. In particular, we request that your government, 1. Your government stop sale or provision in kind of drones and any other military equipment and personnel to the genocidal regime of Prosperity of Ethiopia and Eritrea, which have facilitated the genocidal occupation of Western Tigray by Amhara region forces and parts of Northern Tigray by Eritrean forces involving ethnic cleansing. 2. Your government lays its role in realising the responsibility to protect principle so that no fire zone can be declared over the skies of Tigray in order to stop the mass murder of civilians. 3. The government and other forms of financial aid that are encouraging this genocidal regime to pursue further mass atrocities on the people of Tigray and other parts of Ethiopia. 4. Your government assists in the global diplomatic efforts to stop the civil war, return of all invading forces to the borders before November 2020, return of all displaced Tigrayans to their lands or homes, while new settlers who illegally took over their lands and properties return to where they came from. Please note the Ethiopian constitution does not permit the Ethiopian central or federal government to use or send the federal troops to any region without the permission of the latter. 5. Your government plays its humanitarian responsibility by pressuring the Prosperity Party to terminate the blockade of food aid and other basic necessities to the people of Tigray, so that the war crime of man-made starvation and famine is stopped and life-saving aid and basic services are provided. 6. Exert efforts on the Prosperity Party regime to release all mass-arrested innocent Tigray civilians and public servants, as well as the Ethiopian political prisoners, in order to facilitate all-inclusive peace talks and restoration to their jobs and livelihood. 7. Join the international community in asking the Ethiopian regime to pull out foreign soldiers and security forces from inflicting atrocities on its own people. 8. For the Ethiopian government to stop prohibiting the free movement of Tigrayans within and inside Tigray and Ethiopia on the basis of their identity, such as names on their passport or ID cards. Tigrayans are prohibited from travelling abroad. This didn't even spare Tigrayans with completed kidney and heart cases, and many who died as they did not get the financial resources and medical treatment they needed. Also, Tigrayans who were to travel for scholarships were stopped. 9. Support independent investigation for alleged genocide in Tigray and other claimed atrocities in Ethiopia by an independent UN body per UN human rights vote on 17th of December 2021, following the 13-month conflict, and warns of looming generalized violence. We trust that you will discharge your responsibility under international humanitarian law and will take the necessary actions to stop the suffering of the war crimes and famine imposed on the people of Tigray by their own government, in the same way as you would not allow one of your regions or provinces to forcefully occupy and commit genocide of the other unitary or autonomous regions, simply because they ask the constitution of the land to be respected at the time that is approved by lawful actions or collective agreement. In the end, any civil war has to be resolved politically with ceasefire, followed by peaceful negotiations and the tripatriate invasion and occupation of the Tigray by Ethiopian, Eritrean and Amhara forces cannot be different, though it has been genocidal and involved in unheard betrayal and wickedness in Ethiopian history. We will also be sending this letter by post and on email. We look forward to your reply and action. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the young future of Tigray. I always believe Tigray is Seven. No matter when, however, wherever you are in Tigray as a Tigrayan, many you are Yana, Migray, Tigray, I know wish to Tigray, as it will they will. Rehman has a wala. Kimaido no Tigray. Tigray Seven. Tigray Seven. Tigray Seven. Tigray Seven. Tigray lives matter. Tigray lives matter. Very nice matter. يا تاتنا حياتنا يدعون يعرف ولا قدل من تنصنتهم أنحنا من تهزبنا عملنا عمت مملعتها لا سكون تجمر قالسي اسمع خزي زيادين نحن حرسه أنحنا ينقومي حزبنا مساوتو تعنقلوا عن قدم كنسحقلوا زمن كما تسوه إذا كما تستطيعون قلت لك على ستنكر لنا أجهل كحلفي اتتري وجدوا كل ما أنا نحرم لنا سمعوا كي تنبعوا تقرأوا ينبعين تقرأوا يتارك لسانه سلمن تانز تقولنا الله غير الله ما قزاها لقزاها تسوي بجزنا تسوي يقين نايونا قزاها قداس ملفونه بتقرني تسوي له عزهم خلتي سلسلة عالتو استخلنا ترى سمعنا مثلتنا don't give بياتاتنا don't give up okay بياتاتنا نحن خسرنا عندنا ما قدرنا كنا قنا تقرأ بسرعة تقنع بسرعة تدارو تقرأ تبع المدري قاطع فينا يتبنيش نخينا عطسين تكوفي لك توصل نسيا يتانا لعن جزابن ويكون حج كويس دايو ويتم عسانا بحراك بالقواعي السوم جيزين حداكم ترى دارنا thank you so much محمد especially the people of Tegari no matter where you coming from الله تجارو تجراوي تجراوي لبحنا نعت تجراوي بنعت بسرعة حياتي تجارو يقدس الزهن زلالم عالم لياتاتنا بنت هزمنا من تلعنا تسوي خرين بس نقولنا عزونا كبرج من تحاور خمنا خم الميديا هم السوشيال ميديا على تويتر على انستغرام إذا بوست لهم يغني الله سبيشالي مخاطر الله أدنى على بكل هم لهم لا مسلمكم على تحت بخامهم إحنا على الصعب خبرات يا الله يغني الله عطنا مسمودا أنا في الميديا يتعط كفر خالصين زي تقرأ كفر مقارهم دبل الميديا دمسهم زي تقرأ لهم دبل الميديا كي ترسعوا القرار جزء ساتلايت نموسع أي سعر مقدرنا دبلت مدة هيدا التحرز تيمنيش بسرنا لعنة أتلانس مدة بسرنا لعنة سبورت أتلانس مدة سبورت تقرأي تريد دينار تريد بليس بتسمعنا قبلش الدكتور على تويتر حيا الدفاع لنا حيا الدفاع سيرنا أو تويتر لنا استوعبوا دينسهم تقرأيهم يغني الله معه مخرج تنكي سما فاتي تنكي كان زي قلت له